Leveling in New World can be tough, but it can also be a lot easier than you think. By now you've probably seen plenty of level 60 players, you've probably seen videos online about how easy leveling can be, and you may even have watched a few of them and thought to yourself, there's no way this is true, I do not level that fast from the town board, I don't understand. Well, I'm here to help. A little bit of background on who I am a content creator. I began my channel with Ark Survival Evolved, and no, it's not the channel you are on right now. This is a new channel I'm creating specifically for MMORPGs and New World. As a full-time working adult with my first baby on the way, I don't have a whole lot of time to play games. So when I do play, I really like to try to focus on the things that are fun and the things that are meaningful. In the first 30 days after this game was released, I really just focused on playing the game, learning the game the best I could, not really on leveling or power leveling or really anything like that. I was just enjoying the game. And in those first 30 days, I got to a whole whopping level 30. Yep, level 30, 30 days, that's not fast or efficient. But after that, I said to myself, I really want to hit level 60, I'm going to focus on leveling. So the whole next week I focused on leveling. And when I say the whole next week, I don't mean the whole next week. What I mean is an hour per day of playtime, meaning less than an hour of time was dedicated to actually leveling. And in those 7 days, I went from level 30 to 42. That's a pretty good growth rate for only an hour per day over the time span of a week. 30 to 42, and again, that's not like 1 to 12. 1 to 12 is pretty easy breezy, if you know what I mean. But 30 to 42, that takes some time, and I did it less than an hour per day for a week, and I expect over the next 2 weeks to hit level 60. How did I do that? Well, that's where I'm going to help you out. I'm going to show you the details and the specifics of what you should be focusing on, what you need to do, and I'm not just going to say town board, because you've been told that before. The town board is the best way to level. Many people have told you that. They're like, just go check the town board. And while that's not false, it's true, it's really not enough information to know exactly the right way to do it, if that makes sense. And the expectations too. You'll see what I mean, trust me, watch till the end. And the very last tip I will give you too, will give you a really nice burst of experience that if you haven't done already, you'll get a huge burst. And this is not something you've seen in other videos. You may have seen 1 or 2 other videos that have mentioned it before, but this is not a frequent thing and it has nothing to do with the town board. So make sure you watch all the way to the end. If you do find yourself enjoying this video, please be sure to hit the like button. It'll really help me out. And if you'd like to see more New World content like this, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for the notifications so you never miss a future video. Anyways, I'm going to break this down into 5 tips and tricks for leveling up fast, and we are going to put them in an order that makes sense, with the very last tip being the one that is the burst of experience that you can gain if you haven't done so already, and most of you probably have not. Tip number 1, and when I say tip number 1, I mean let's just get this tip out of the way, the town board. The town board is how you level up the fastest consistently. And like I said, I'm not just going to say town board and move on. We're going to get into the nitty gritty, into the details. So when you first open your town board, you're going to notice that some of these missions take longer than you think. And also some of these missions are not very high experience. So how is it that the town board, who grants only a few hundred experience and 1,000 for the toughest of the town board missions, the town board quests, only 1,000 experience, how could this be the fastest way to level? And I'm here to tell you, you might be looking at it wrong. Every quest that you see on the town board is not necessarily a quest that you should do. Number 1, all of the exploration quests, you should just ignore. Don't even bother with them, they're not worth your time. All of the hunting quests, they can be worth your time if you are going out and questing and doing things as well. If you're only sitting there in the city, in the town, and you're working on the town board, you really shouldn't worry about them. You should focus on specifically the resource gathering quests. Also, little bonus, the crafting quests are worth your time for 2 reasons. Number 1, they give you a decent experience most of the time in the town board. Secondly, when you craft those items in the correlating crafting station, you can actually gain a nice burst of experience in that specific trade skill. That being said, not every crafting mission, crafting quest, not every single one of those are the same, and not everyone is as valuable as the others. What I mean by that is some of those require resources that are so difficult and tedious to find and to gather that they're not worth your time or your gold coin in the market. So some of these, what you should do until you start to learn them is every time you get one, select it, go figure out what you need to craft it, and anything you can't easily farm yourself, go look in the market and see what it's selling for. If it's selling for less than 1 gold each, it's probably worth your time to craft it. If it's selling for over 1 gold each, then unless you have a lot of gold already, don't bother, just abandon that quest and move on to the next one. Now, back to the resource gathering quests. Those are the bread and butter of the town board. When people say the fastest way to level is by using the town board, that's what they're talking about, is the resource gathering. But they are not, I repeat, they are not, capital N-O-T, they are not talking about gathering those resources yourself. They are not talking about that at all. What they are talking about is buying those resources from the market. So a lot of these basic resources in the market will go for less than 30 cents each, sometimes less than 20 or 10 cents each. You can buy these resources and then turn them into the quest, into the town board for that experience points from the quest. That's why the town board is seen as the fastest way to level, because you don't actually have to do the quests. You just go buy the resources from the market, turn in the quest for the experience. That's all there is to it. Now you may be thinking, the market can get expensive, right? I don't have a lot of gold. Should I really do it that way? And the answer is yes, just do it. It's really not as much gold as you think. You will gather gold naturally. If you ever get to a point where you're running low on gold, or you just don't have the resources, the gold, or anything to sell for more gold. If you don't have that and therefore you can't continue to do the quest, then go focus on playing the game for a little bit. Do some of your side quests, do your main quest storyline, go run some of the open world dungeons, whatever you want to do in the game, gather some more resources and gold, and then continue on with leveling. Now, tip number 2 goes hand in hand with this tip number 1 about town boards, because it's basically like an add-on tip. And that is that those initial quests that you do see in the town board, even the resource gathering ones, they are not the maximum that the town board gets. And the town board doesn't reflect your actual level. That's not what it's based on. It's based on your trade skill levels. What does that mean? That means all those missions you've seen about gather 500 greenwood, gather 100 fiber, any of those type of resource gathering quests, those will improve to linen and sateen instead of fiber. Maybe it's satin. I don't even know how to pronounce it. It doesn't matter. It'll upgrade to lumber and timber. It'll upgrade to stone bricks instead of stone blocks, steel instead of iron. All of these quests, these town board missions, will improve with the type of resource they want you to gather and how much experience points you get based on your trade skill level. What does that mean? That means that in the beginning, when you're level, let's just say when you're under level 15, you probably should not actually be focusing on the town board at that time. What you should be focusing on, if you really want to focus on leveling primarily, is focus on leveling your trade skills, specifically your gathering trade skills. Go skin a bunch of creatures, go gather a bunch of fiber and vegetables and whatever else will level up your harvesting. Go cut a whole lot of trees and level up your logging. Start hitting some stones and gathering the iron as your trade skills level to 50, 100. Pretty much, if you can level all your trade skills, your resource gathering trade skills to level 50, that'll improve your town board. And if you can hit them all at level 100, it'll improve it even more. And just for a little bit of understanding, your town board missions will start to go into the thousands as you level these up. I just recently leveled my logging up to level 100, and I now get quests that are for weird wood planks. I just recently got one for 40 of them, and the experience was 7,300. 7,300 experience for one quest on the town board. That is a big chunk even at the higher levels. Now you might be thinking, that's gotta take a lot of time to gather those resources, or that might cost a lot of gold. And I'm here to tell you it doesn't. All you gotta do is, if you don't already have the normal wood, go gather the wood, or buy the green wood, and then you have to buy the weird wood. You have to buy the upgraded resource. That's cheaper than the basic resource. I'm not even kidding. And that's not just my server, that's a pretty standard thing. The higher end resources before they are refined are cheaper than the basic resources. That's because the cheaper resources are still required to craft the higher end resources, but none of the higher level players want to go gather the lower end resources. They want to spend their time gathering the higher end resources. What I just said not only impacts that, it not only impacts your ability to do those better quests on the town board for a cheaper price and get that higher experience, but it also matters because, like I said, when you're at the lower levels and you're focusing on leveling your trade skills and you're hitting all these trees, you're going to gather a lot of basic resources in the process. If you don't have enough storage to store them in the meantime, you might as well sell them. And when you sell those basic resources, you are going to get a nice chunk of change, a good amount of gold. You're going to be rolling in the dough. So sell all that stuff, save up your gold, and then go do the town board missions once your trade skills are all leveled up to 50 and 100 plus. That is how you properly utilize the town board, and that is how you level up in the fastest possible way using the town board. Now before you go, there are 3 more tips that I want to go over, and all 3 of these have nothing to do with the town board, and these can help you level up as well. Number 1, just kidding, this is tip number 3. Why did I say number 1? Because I kind of broke this down, I guess, into 2 different parts, but it's really tip number 3, and that is enable PvP when you're out in the open world. I know, you might not be a PvP player, and enabling PvP might scare you a little bit, but I promise when I say most of the players that are running around are not actually flagged for PvP. Usually when you find PvP players, it's when you have large groups of players that are trying to battle over faction control and company control for a certain territory, and you will see them. They're not going to be sneaking around. You'll see them. And if they manage to kill you once, then you'll know not to go back to that same spot. Maybe go to a different territory and do your farming in a different territory. Or just unflag for PvP just for right then and there, right? Flagging for PvP is not as dangerous as you think it is because there's not that many players running around flagged for PvP aside from those large groups. You won't often see 1 or 2 players flagged for PvP while you're running around, meaning it usually won't even matter. The biggest impact, I'm almost always flagged for PvP when I'm running around. Even when I was lower level, I was flagged for PvP. The largest impact that had on me wasn't dying to other PvP players that happened to be around. It was the fact that I couldn't party up with other random players because you can't join someone's group if one of you are PvP and one of you are PvE. That was the largest impact, and that's really not even a big deal when you're just playing around solo, trying to, do whatever quest you're doing or do whatever you're doing, gathering and flagging for PvP at the same time. That bonus percentage of experience, the 5 or the 10% I think is what it is, that does matter. It's not a lot, but it makes a difference. Tip number 4 is when you see a large mob of creatures and they respawn fairly quickly, it doesn't hurt to kill them for a little while. Hit them. If you kill one and you notice that the experience gain is decent for your level, stick around for a bit, kill the mobs, farm the mobs. This is especially useful in the open world dungeons, the elite zones. Now, if it takes you a long time to kill one enemy creature and it's not enough experience to be worth it, then maybe just ignore, that specific mob or those creatures. Ideally, when you're farming mobs, you don't want creatures that take a long time to kill and just give you a small burst of experience. You want to find large groups of mobs that respawn frequently and give you lots of experience if you do it, over time. You want to get 10 experience here, 10 experience there. When you kill 10 in the time span of 2 minutes, you're getting 100 experience super fast compared to taking 5 minutes to kill a strong enemy creature that only gives you 50 experience, right? It's faster to get the 10 times 10 in 2 minutes than it is to get the 50 in 5 minutes. Sorry if that math was confusing. On to tip number 5, and this is the one for a huge burst of experience if you haven't already done it. Each time you level up one of your trade skills by 1 level, this isn't just resource gathering trade skills, this is any of your trade skills. This is the refining, this is the resource gathering, this is the crafting, this is all of the trade skills. Each time you level them up, you also get a small burst of experience to your main experience bar. Each level you get in your trade skill will increase the amount of experience you get in your experience bar as well. So going from level 1 to level 2 in logging will give you a lot less experience than going from level 99 to 100. You'll get a much higher burst. Now, each individual burst is not a ton by any means, even at the higher levels. However, let's say as an example that you have enough cooking resources like honey and stuff like that to craft up a whole lot of travel rations, right? And let's say you're only level 20 in your cooking trade skill, and you have enough to craft, 200 travel rations, something like that. And you go cook 200 travel rations. Well, your cooking trade skill is gonna shoot up from level 20 to some other higher level. I don't actually know what it is. I'm above that already, so I don't know what the exact increase is, but you'll get quite a big jump. Now, if you craft some of the higher end recipes, and I'm not even talking anything crazy, I'm just talking about something like a satisfying meal or something like just a light meal. If you craft a bunch of those in one sitting, you'll get an even larger burst of trade skill experience, thereby giving you a higher level, more levels, and a higher burst of regular experience. Now, to add on to that, back to tip number 3, if you do this at your camp outside of a town, and you have PvP enabled, you're gonna get 10% more experience on top of that. By far the fastest way I've seen to get a huge burst of experience points in New World is to be level 50 cooking already, go gather a whole bunch of cooking resources or buy them from the market so that you can craft a ton of light meals at a camp tier 3 or higher. And if you can't make one, go find one, because you'll find them in New World. You'll find people that have made camps and just abandoned them, and you can go and claim that as a spot and use it. Go find one or make one and craft tons of light meals with PvP enabled at that camp, and you will gain so much experience so fast. One guy made a video, I don't remember who it was, but I saw a video on this. One guy made a video where he got 100,000 experience points in one sitting of this. That is a ton, even at a higher level. So the only thing is though, you can only do it once. So, you know, once you're a higher level cooking, it's not that easy, because each trade skill level takes more experience than the previous one, but each level up gives you just a little bit more experience to your overall experience when you level up. Because of that, it is faster to get that large burst at the lower levels of each trade skill for your main levels, because it takes more experience to actually level up those individual trade skills at the higher levels. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, those are my top 5 tips for leveling up in New World. If you found this video useful in any way, or if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit that like button. It'll really help me out, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you'd like to see more New World content, if you enjoy playing PvP and you'd like to see a really good PvP build, especially for solo players and low level players, that'll help you in 1v1s and 1v2s, you'll be able to legit beat level 60 players, check out this video here. My name is Dark, and I will see you next time.